West Side Story was directed by Steven Spielberg and is the second film adaptation of the stage play with the same name. The first one being in 1961, of course, which made a lot of people, well, fans of West Side Story in general, obviously, but also won a lot of Oscars and is considered one of the greatest movies of all time. Much like the stage play and the 61 film, the story is very Romeo and Juliet-esque. We follow Tony and Maria, played in this movie by Ansel Elgort and Rachel Zegler, and essentially their forbidden love, because they're from two different gangs, the Jets and the Sharks. We're having a bit of a turf war right now during this transitional phase in New York City where the Upper West Side is being transformed, and they're essentially trying to figure out who gets control of the place. The 61 film is a film that I really enjoy. I think it's a wonderfully vibrant and colorful and very energetic musical, and it's no surprise that it's been as iconic as it has been over the years. It's really left its mark on cinema in general. Lots of amazing musical numbers that have carried forwarded ever since then, and people still sing to this day. And the idea of revisiting those in a Spielberg movie was interesting. For one, getting to obviously listen to those songs on a big screen again was pretty cool to think about, but also I think this is Spielberg's first major musical ever. And so the idea of that was kind of interesting. Like, what could that maestro of, filmmaking, the person who has had such an impact on cinema, bring to the table? That particular idea was intriguing, and I think Spielberg has done something pretty amazing in that he actually has made a movie that follows up on an already iconic film and might have actually, in some respects, done it better. As far as I'm concerned, this film was kind of a knockout. I have issues with the 61 movie, I'm not gonna lie. There are certain things that are a bit more dated, let's just put it that way. And I think that Spielberg and his writer, Tony Kushner in this case, took that into account because the movie decidedly makes some changes. I think those work for the better. I think there's definitely some improvements there, especially in terms of representation, and the cast that we see in front of us reflects that perfectly. And I think that is a massive improvement on the original film. So definitely get some points for that. I think certain musical numbers are interestingly directed in this one. I think there's one in particular that may even rival the original. And I feel like that's going to be a point of contention for some people. You might either think so or not, depending on how big a fan of the 61 movie you are. Visually, though, this film is stunning. Janusz Kaminski's cinematography is magnificent. It's some of the best of the year. Yes, it's not quite as vibrant or colorful as the 61 original, but at the same time, it's its own color scheme. It's in a very different moment of time, and so I can understand why there would be some changes in terms of a color palette. I think the color palette in this film is best suited for the setting of it. It's like, of course, it's gonna look like this. You can't have, reds like that throughout or something like that. Even though there are scenes and numbers, musical numbers, that have those moments of color bursts. And when those happen, they are truly remarkable to witness. I actually saw this in IMAX because they have released this in IMAX, I guess, for a limited engagement, because I think next week with Spider-Man and then Matrix, it's not really gonna be in those screens. But I thought it was really, really great to see it on that giant canvas. It definitely added a layer to it. Of the performances, I think everybody does a really good job, but I want to give a very special shout out to two cast members in particular. For one, Rachel Zegler, who plays Maria. This is her debut movie, and frankly, you couldn't convince me that it is. She is phenomenal in this film. There are certain conversations already happening about her being up for major awards in the stuff to come, and I would believe it. She's that good in the film. Also really good in this movie is Adriana Debose, who plays Anita. She was really damn good and also worthy of all the praise that she's been getting. She also brings a layer to Anita, the character in the original was played by Rita Moreno, and she does it wonderfully. There's, again, a few scenes with her that are just remarkable. The America musical sequence, which is iconic in the original film. In this one, it's really, really good, and I could honestly see a debate happening on which one's the better one, because this one is done in a very interesting and a very different way, and one that I quite enjoyed, and I think she's phenomenal in the film. As for Ansel Elgort, who is our male lead in this film, he's Interestingly, I found him to be a little on and off at times. Like, there were moments where I thought he was really great and he was doing a good job, and then there were other moments where he felt a little stiff. I'm not quite sure if that was just me or if it was the scene calling for it, because there's this one moment I remember thinking there should be a bigger outburst here, but it kind of sounds like very subdued, and I'm not really sure what's going on over there. Rita Moreno is also in this film. She plays a role and she also has a song, and it's pretty great seeing her again. She still got it, man. She's like, what, early 90s, and she's killing it. She's really, really great in the movie. She killed it all those years ago in the original 61 film. She's killing it once again. Really, really great job from her. One of the things about a musical film, though, which can be very tricky, are the song transitions, especially when you want to do it in a way that fits to the script and it tells the story in a more cohesive manner. And I think Spielberg and Kushner thread the needle pretty well in the moments that they do have to have those, musical transitions and scene transitions, and they want to keep up with the tone of the film. I think they've done a remarkable job of keeping it as consistent and as tightly paced as possible, because that's important for a 2 hour and 37 minute movie or something like that. Like, you want to make sure that you have, every single thing working at all times, especially when you have an audience that's there for that long watching the film, and you want to make sure it all works out. There's a scene in particular where they changed up a musical, like the setting is completely different and the person who's singing it is also very different. I think this was a welcome change, especially since the new version of this song, which takes place, I don't want to try and spoil it, it takes place in one confined location. I think it worked really, really well. And the way they used that environment is a testament to good direction and choreography. They really went all out with some of this stuff, and I do really appreciate it. I have minor gripes here and there with the film. Like I said, I thought a couple of moments with performances were a little on and off here and there. But yeah, in the end, I was very happy with West Side Story. I think we got a phenomenal film on our hands, and I think that Spielberg has done an excellent job in making a film that was insane. Like, the idea of redoing that, after all those years, regardless of what your thoughts on it are now, it's like, you think about a film that's won 10 Oscars and think, how do you try that again? And I think there is a fresh perspective in here that was achieved wonderfully. I will say one thing before giving my final grade. I'm very curious to hear from critics who are Latino or Puerto Rican specifically, like, what are their thoughts on the film? Because I feel like there might be a perspective over there which I may not have considered at all. And in that scenario, I would just like to hear those thoughts. So yeah, if you guys end up watching this, please let me know. Comments below or social media. And yeah, would love to engage in that conversation. I'm going to give West Side Story a 9 out of 10. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Next week is going to be a pretty big one, especially with Spider-Man No Way Home. I'll have that review up maybe a little early, maybe, fingers crossed. Looking forward to talking about that. I'm also looking forward to talking about, a few other things before the year ends up. And yeah, it's been a very interesting one. As always, if you like this, guys, please do subscribe. Thank you very much as always. And I'll see you guys at the movies.